Good afternoon, everyone. Glad to be back doing a wee video for you. I had a wee bit of time out, and to be honest with you, I tried my best to not look at my phone too much, try and keep away from the index a little bit. I had some things set up to be sold at certain dates and some transactions, which you guys will know about if you've been staying tuned to the channel, which is why the balance at the top right is pretty heavy. Then we're making a big withdrawal later tonight. Just to then start off phase 2 in a nice clean slate. We've got everything that we're keeping, we're selling everything that we would want to sell. Had the promotion not been on in that promotion phase, if that makes any kind of sense, I just don't want any future withdrawals to hamper any money I might want to withdraw from the index. So I'm pretty much making all those moves now, okay? But we're on match day 4 of fantasy football, okay? And like I was saying to you, this episode is going to be a big one, okay? Because we're moving away from a wee bit of fantasy football, and we're thinking more of this being Football Index Fantasy Football Agency. So we're going to call it FIFA with 2 F's in the middle so I don't get sued or anything. Okay, so we're set up on the last 30 days of potential match day dividends, IPDs, and all that type of thing, but we also want to have those players bought as early as possible ahead of the 5 places media dividend that will be kicking off after the Champions League final for the summer months ahead. Okay, so we've made all the transfers that we're going to be doing, which means along with the sales of my main holds I've had to make for now, means that phase 1 is a write-off for me, which is why we did the video 3 strategies to maximise the trading bonus, and I would fall into the category certainly of writing off phase 1, unfortunately, and taking advantage entirely of phase 2. So first of all, the footy, we've broke the 90,000 barrier, and it's one of those ones I dare say by the end of May, certainly we should definitely be looking at that 100,000 market cap. Is definitely a possibility. It's just growing and growing and growing. As you can see the movement today, a lot of people are piling in on the last day of phase 1 to just try and get every nickel and dime out of the promotion, and that's to be expected. But bear in mind, guys, with the 3 strategies that we outlined, there will be a lot of people, or there will be some people out there certainly, who will just be looking at phase 1 for the big for their big bonus. Okay, so you might notice a bit of a drop off or some people falling off a cliff tomorrow, possibly. Time will tell on that one, okay? But the market cap has went up, and it's going from strength to strength, guys. The promotion's doing wonders, and the index himself are positioned himself very, very well for for the coming days and weeks. Okay, so let's have a look. What does the team look like now? Okay, so what we've tried to do is we've tried to incorporate a lot of the topics we've had previously of maybe transfer targets, and different sorts of players to be looking out for different reasons, and we've tried to incorporate them into the team. Okay, so we've got our boy All Black. He's staying in the nets now, and we're going to take All Black certainly all the way to the end of but when I first put this together, the deadline for the team that we put together, the 30 days, would end on the 6th of May. Okay, so we've still got one more week essentially out of All Black, Koulibaly, Alaba, and Kante. I want to say there's 4, those guys. Okay, so we're keeping hold of them certainly. Alaba, Koulibaly, and Kante we're going to be keeping basically forevermore at this stage, through the promotions and through the extra media dividends that will be coming in the summer based on transfer speculation. It's based on 5 places of media, but the angle is obviously to try and encapsulate transfer targets. Okay, so we'll go from back to front. Okay, so we'll get 30 days of IPDs on the new acquisitions as of when we bought them, which encompasses all their final matches between now and the end of the season. So we've got every match they're going to play now between now and the end of the season. Okay, so we've got our boy All Black in goals. At right back, we've got Denzel Dumfries, okay, who we've got at a great price. We bought him a while ago, as you guys will know. We've been tuned in the videos at 36 pence. I think he's up at 41, 42 pence now, which is great to see. And as the Nations League comes in, that's where he's really been bought for, because unfortunately, since we've bought him, he has done things that, had he been in a qualifying league, he would be eligible for dividends, in terms of an assist and a goal, I think he's maybe bagged. certainly a goal, a goal and an assist he's bagged. But unfortunately, the Eredivisie is not a qualifying competition, so it's not really done anything for us. Okay, we've then got our boy Varane at centre back. So is Varane somebody we've been? Oh, I can't even remember now, guys. Sorry, there's been so much chopping and changing. As you can see, we've got 7 on the bench, which means there's 4 remaining. And no, Alaba's new. Yeah. So it's all black centre backs and Kante that have stayed. So Varane is I think he's on a little bit of a dip now, and I'll come to the captain's thing in a second, okay? But he's somebody who we're definitely thinking is going to be leaving Madrid in the summer. Koulibaly, he's still got some Europa League to go, which is nice. And again, he's somebody who looks like he'll probably be leaving Napoli, and if he does, it'll be for a big transfer fee. Alaba is one of these ones who we spoke about really along the lines of transfers that have been signed off already. Hernandez going to Bayern Munich, and there's a few teams that are crying out for a quality left back. Spurs and Man City are the ones that jump to mind, but then you've got some other teams on the continent that are maybe going to look to re-strengthen, like Barcelona. Jordi Alba is fantastic, but he's not getting any younger. Real Madrid are revamping from top to bottom, and so there's a few places he could end up, and with him not being linked to anyone now, if you can see these opportunities, it's a gamble. They might not get linked to anyone, he might stay at Bayern Munich, there might not be one story put in the press about him, but yeah, that's a gamble you take. Sangaré, we've spoken about Sangaré. I think he's a hot prospect now in European football and is likely to move. Milinkovic-Savic, I think his time at Lazio is done. He's not had a great season, he's still their best player, but what he did at the early stages of the World Cup and what he did last year, I think is enough to give some teams enough credence to maybe push the boat out and try and get him signed up. His transfer fee might not be as big this summer as Lazio would have wanted last summer because of the season he's had and the lack of success that they've had as a team. And then Kante, I think Chelsea, I think that generation at Chelsea, their days are numbered. I think a few of them might be moving out. Maybe Marcus Alonso as well, and some of these guys, David Luiz, Hazard, obviously. But I think Kante is one who Zidane in Real Madrid will especially be pushing the boat out. And on that note, depending on what goes on at Man United backstage, in the boardroom level, if they get a director of football in, it's not somebody who you could imagine Man United going and spending a bucket load of money on to improve Pogba, and improve what they get out of Pogba. They might sell him, obviously, but just a thought. And with him being 47 pence, if there's any serious transfer links around players like this who are not in the top 200, then you can bet your bottom dollar that the market will back them in to being in the top 200 so they get access to media. So catching some people who are not in the top 200 now that would need a nice amount of growth to achieve that are players who you certainly want to think about and give a consideration to. And then the front three is really where we're probably going to make our bread and butter on this. Okay, so Julian Brandt, we spoke about him. He's got a really nominal minimum fee if they don't qualify for the Champions League, which is looking very possible at this stage. Memphis Depay, again, I think he's rebuilt his reputation at Lyon and could definitely be linked to a good few transfers around some top-ish European teams. And with the Nations League as well, if he sets the world alight, then that'll just increase his transfer value and the potential teams that might come looking for him. And then Nicolas Pepe, I think, is going to be one of the transfer sagas of the summer. Almost everyone wants a piece of him. And coming from Lille in the season they've had, it really is a bit of deja vu around Eden Hazard. Obviously, Pepe won't be winning the league with Lille like Hazard did, but in the face of the PSG team that they're playing and how good Lyon have done this year, it's almost as credible a season for them, and what he's achieving on the pitch for them as well. So that's the team, guys. So we've got good potential for matchday dividends across the board, and then we've all got good potential for number one, capital appreciation. As the market grows, inevitably some of these guys will grow along with it, goes without saying, as well as the potential for media dividends in the summer. Okay, so we're not looking to sell any of these guys now between now and the foreseeable. What we've done with the captains, right? So last week I did this kind of off camera, right? But I made Pepe my captain, and I made who was my vice captain? It might have been Depay or Kante, or I can't remember now. But we're basically looking to top up on players who we either don't have a lot of money in, but are still at a nice price to be buying on, or they're dipping, and the dip is basically not anything to do with any real reason other than we imagine it's people moving money from one place to another. And then you can see some opportunities. So Alaba is our captain. So if we can get some more money into Alaba with any deposits between now and next Tuesday, then that's what we'll be looking to do. And if, again, Koulibaly, very similar, if his price was to wane or to hover, we might go and pick some more, because we've only got 10 of him, and he's somebody who I can see is bagging some dividends off of, so we'll be keeping an eye on his price and try and find a good point of entry where we can go and pick up some more pieces of him, okay? So if we have a look at the portfolio real quickly, you can see where they're all sitting now, and most of them are nice kind of little positions, you know, but certainly with Alaba, as you can see, he's, you know, in a really good position to be buying some more of, in my opinion, for me, certainly. And who was the other one? It was Koulibaly. So again, he's at a really strong price now, and the way he's been growing, I don't see him going backwards really much, but if Napoli have already been eliminated, sorry, I've just had a brain fart there, sorry, but yeah, so if there's any backward movement on him, you can see these candlesticks are moving up and down on him, then we might want to try and get him again if he drops below that 160 mark, and try and track him and see how he does, you know. And then next week, once we maybe topped up on a few of them, we'll see what other opportunities are out there. And because with Nicolas Pepe, for example, we were picking him up at 264, we made him captain, and then we started buying him at 261 and 260, and it brought our overall price down to 261, and then went and scored a nice wee cheeky goal. We get 30 pence, you know, pence a share, and then he's moved up in price again with all the links and everything, you know. So it's just about playing the game as much as possible, okay? Now, like I said when we started this, guys, you want to be cataloguing absolutely everything, okay? So on my lineup 11 app here, you can see I've got down the amounts, how much I've bought them, what's the average price, all that sort of thing, okay? And then with all the guys with subbed, I've got this information as well, okay? So I can see how many of them I bought, and, you know, what price they were at, and, you know, that type of thing as well, and we can kind of balance all that off. But what I've also been keeping a track of this whole time as well is all the dividends that are coming our way, okay? So as you can see, it's a nice list, okay? Now, I've put a few of them in brackets. I think I've missed out on one or two of them just with the last week or so, just with so much going on the index, and then just personally with work and having a trip away and different things. But the ones in brackets are ones that we sold, or in Dumfries's case, he wasn't in a qualifying league, that were potential dividends that had we rode it out, you know, with Guerrero, Wijnaldum and Robertson, we would have bagged some dividends for, and then we've still got another week of them to go. So they, and again, the same thing, I don't know how long I'm going to continue this for, because it's just too much work between other things, but guys like Jovic who have been sold, and Keane and Asensio and Coutinho, these types of guys, but we're meant to be holding them to the 6th of May, you know, so there's potentially more dividends that had we not started this at the point of the season that we started at, and then Football Index hadn't announced what they announced, there might have been some dividends still to be going getting, you know. But as you can see quite quickly, you know, when we've started changing things around, if you look just where I've got the line here, straight away we've been earning with the signings we've made, you know. So Brandt has got a goal and an assist for us. Depay scored, Pepe scored, you know, again. So the new signings are coming in, and they're doing their thing. Koulibaly's goals are worth twice as much, of course, because he's a defender. And Oblak has had 4 games for us, and he's netted 3 clean sheets. You know, we've got one more game to go out of him, you know. So that's been a really cheeky, and I mean cheeky in a good way, goalkeeper, and especially for this kind of situation, that the price of a really good goalkeeper, you know, 57 pence, had to be committed more funds into that, either with the overall fantasy football budget, or just how we allocated funds at the beginning. Then, you know, he's in a great position. There was a really tenuous link that Man United might go, and he's just signed a new contract. He's got a massive minimum fee that Man United might go after him, and that's put his price up a couple of pence today. But goalkeepers, guys, see, as soon as they don't keep a clean sheet, you can normally snap them up. If you look at his movement, you know what I mean, over the last month, it's been up and down with clean sheets. You know, if you look at him right down there, I guarantee you that was the day or the week where, you know, Atletico Madrid didn't keep the clean sheet, and you can pick them up a bit cheaper. And then as they do well, and then if they are really good, the time of year when they're going to get linked to people, you can see their price move up, you know. So it's all data collection, guys, for really getting really stuck into this properly serious, proper seriously. I don't know if that's the way to say it, for next year. But as of now, as I say, we're thinking more agency-wise. You know, we're looking for players that will be moving and getting transferred and getting put in the papers and column inches and all that type of thing. And I say the introduction of captains, we'll be looking to top up on any players we see an opportunity in. So what we're sticking with is these 11 players, and these are the 11 players we're looking to try and ride out as much as possible. Now, as I finish my withdrawals and I make deposits, I might pick up the odd player here and there that's not going to be included in this setup. And I'm thinking about people like Van Dijk. I sold him today and we're up like 80% profit on him or something daft like that, and it was a really good turn. From 176 I think we had him at. He's at 306 today. So it's a really good movement. But again, I can see I'm getting to £5 very easily. In what time scale, who only knows. On that note as well, guys, Ryan Fraser's made a great big bounce back. You know, he dropped below the £1 mark again. I was really tempted to maybe go and get some of him. But then just, you know, before this deposit and bonus and, you know, net buys, I think people have seen the price he's at and the potential he's got for matchday dividends between now and the end of the season, and then the likelihood of transfers. You can see these players just rocket. So if there's anyone you're keeping your eye on, guys, it's not really the time for blinking. If you see an opportunity, I say this is just not the time to be blinking, it's the time to be jumping on. And saying that, Jovic's price has hovered quite nicely and Coutinho's doing pretty well again. There's a lot of great options out there, a lot of great opportunities to be getting your hands on. It's good to see Robertson popping back up. Certainly, you know, we had him around that 90 pence a pound mark, you know. So again, had we not had to deal with the changes in the landscape that we had to deal with, then that's another good position we would have had in the original 11. But as you can see, guys, all over the bat here, we're looking at players who are going to be potentially moving, making nice big rises and movements. So the title of the video today is Fantasy Football, guys, but on that note as well, I just wanted to kind of have a wee chat and just touch base and just have a look at things, see how they're all panning out. But as you can see, guys, by and large, all the fantasy football guys are all netting dividends, and that's what it's all about, is making your money work for you. And then we look to, once we make our final little sales here, just so we can withdraw everything, we'll then be looking to build the portfolio back up again. Okay, so thanks for tuning in today, guys. A wee bit kind of rambly. I do apologise if that's not your cup of tea. If you're new around here, like, share, subscribe, retweet, all that good stuff, guys. Comments in the comment section below. And I'll catch you on the next one. Take care, stay out of trouble. Ta-ra, bye.